Hello, hello. It is Astro Coach Sarah here for your new moon solar eclipse in Leo update. The nodes have shifted from North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo to North Node Aquarius, South Node Leo. Let's talk about that. And let me also talk about, before I get to that, the advantage of being an astrologer and a personal development coach and why it matters with the nodes now being in Aquarius and Leo. Because I got started with astro coaching for myself when the North Node was in Gemini. It might have been finishing in Cancer. But by the time it got into Gemini, I was fully invested in astrology. Therefore, I was in astrology and working with an astro coach when the North Node was in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. And luckily, I had an astro coach on board because I'm a Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon. And also the North Node in Taurus with a Mars Uranus conjunction, which happened July 31st, 2022, is my sobriety date from alcohol. So I quit drinking that day because that North Node conjunction with Mars and Uranus was at 18 degrees. So opposite my Scorpio moon, which is at 19 degrees Scorpio. And now that we are in like the nodal square of that, so we have North Node in Aquarius, which squares Taurus and Scorpio, South Node in Leo, which squares Taurus and Scorpio. I understand the pressure that I am under. And because I work in personal development, I wouldn't say I know how to handle it because I don't think there's ever a such thing as like when you're leveling up in life. I was just telling someone this the other day. You can go through therapy and coaching, and then you change a phase in life and you need therapy and coaching again because you need new tools and new mechanisms to get through this new phase of life, right? When I went from living in Chicago to living on the West Coast to then sharing space with someone in Phoenix to then coming home and being a caretaker for my mom to now living on my own again, those are all different phases of life. And during that time, I got into astrology and Reiki and personal development even further. I've been in personal development for like 15 years or something at this point. But like I kept adding something to the mix, and every phase that I shifted, I went back to my coaches, which I do go to the same coaches over and over because they know my bullshit stories and they don't let me get away with it, which is why I go back to them. I don't coach shop. I have tried coach shopping. I don't like to coach shop because most coaches, it just takes too long to establish like the relationship. They let me get away with too much. I can give them my bullshit and they're like, oh, okay. I don't like that. I have like a handful of coaches that I go to, about two or three of them. They know every ounce of bullshit I could give them and they don't tolerate it. They don't let me get away with it. They coach me on a very high gradient, and that is why I like paying them money to do so. So if you are somebody who coach shops or therapy shops, question yourself on that, because why do you keep doing it? Are you looking for them to validate you and your bullshit, or are you actually looking to grow? Because I'm always looking to grow. So I'm going to go back to the same people on repeat, and work with those same people because they don't tolerate my shit. Anywho, as I have grown through, I continue to go back to my coaches depending on the phase and be like, how do I get through this? So to speak. So as we are now in the North Node, Aquarius, South Node, Leo, I feel like this next 18 months, these nodes change places every 18 months, so a year and a half. So we had the North Node in Pisces from January 2024, 25 till July 2026. And we had the South Node of Virgo during that time. Now we have from July 2026 till I don't know the exact date, January, we'll say, of 2028. I think in the next 18 months of time, we will see the most gigantic, enormous shift in humanity that we've ever seen. Will it affect you? I don't know. It depends on your chart and whether or not you have placements in Aquarius and Leo or Taurus and Scorpio for that matter. It may or may not affect you as much as it affects me. You may feel it when the nodes were in Aries and Libra a few years ago. It just depends on your chart. It depends on what life has for you, that sort of thing. You will feel something or at least notice something, right? Just kind of with the cradle formation that we had in July, unless you had placements at 4 degrees of any zodiac sign, you may or may not have been affected by that cradle formation. Did it bring about clarity? Maybe. Did it validate or have some people feel vindicated? Hell yeah. I've resisted the urge to gloat. But hell yeah. Anywho, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you probably need to go read the book, The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert F. Kennedy. Well worth the read. It is actually a very difficult read. I won't lie, because there's no redeeming qualities. But anyway, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Were some of us vindicated? Hell yeah. But we knew we were going to be. So there's that. This next 18 months, okay, this is why it's going to really contrast, split humanity, because we don't get to have Aquarius without technological advancement. By that I mean AI, robots, hybrid humans, that kind of thing. But the other idea of Aquarius is pocket communities, and small groups coming together. And we're starting to see some of that with people living in like RV life or camper life or van life, and small groups forming. I have my friend Abigail, who's been a van lifer. She's got a YouTube channel devoted to her van life experience. And she's definitely had small groups that she's been a part of over the years of her van life journey. And I know other folks who do RV life and van life who have their pockets of communities that they associate with as well. And so will we see more of that? Likely. And those small groups, those small pocket communities will be a bit more analog and a little less tech. And there are advantages and disadvantages to both, right? With tech comes social media, ads, affiliate shopping, spam, AI generated videos, AI generated content, nefarious bullshit, all of that kind of stuff. But there are advantages to technology. Technology is how I'm able to post a video on YouTube. So, there's that. And it makes things more accessible for people who have visual disabilities or other disabilities for that matter, to be able to communicate, to be able to access information, those sorts of things. And so there are advantages to that, but there are also advantages to analog life and getting offline and actually interacting with humans, and critters alike, and getting to know the earth, because we don't have a lot of earth in the chart for the next couple of years. And so there is something to be said for getting offline, unplugging, and actually getting to know what types of trees or birds or what types of animals thrive in the place where you live, and really getting in tune with Earth. Since we now have Chiron and Taurus, albeit retrograde, but we'll have Chiron and Taurus fully by April of next year. Chiron and Taurus has kind of been a reminder of where our food comes from. This is something that me and many other astrologers have talked about for quite some time. Where does our food come from? And as it turns out, all of our food comes from the same fucking manufacturer, no matter which grocery store you go to. Even if you thought that your sophisticated grocery store was getting it from a farm, turns out they're all coming from the exact same manufacturing farm. So there's that. I am someone who does shop at a local butcher shop. I prefer the meat from there. I prefer the customer service, to be honest, because I was vegan at one point, and now that I get into, just better eating habits and better nourishment, like I want to know what types of meat I'm getting, the cuts, and different things like that. And so I have been going to a local butcher shop, and prefer it just because the people who work at a local butcher shop can answer my questions about the type of meat that I want to have for whatever meal I'm trying to create. Now, granted, I mostly eat ground beef and chicken thighs, but occasionally I like a different cut. So there's that. So when you go to a local shop like that, they're more likely to be able to answer your questions, and things like that. Same thing with your produce. You can find out more if you talk to the local farmers. I, for one, love fresh eggs than store-bought eggs. Um, they're prettier. They look prettier and they taste better. But that's not everybody's jam. But some people love fresh tomatoes and don't like store-bought tomatoes. So there's that. Anywho, so I think Chiron and Taurus is when it re-enters next year is gonna also give us another dose of where is our food coming from? Where are resources coming from? Why are these foods and resources making us sick? So I feel like with the North Node in Aquarius, it's, we could talk extraterrestrial, we could talk about intergalactic, beings and whatnot, but my my feel on the North Node in Aquarius is, are we even contemplating our humanity as far as how we are being treated on Earth, our opportunities, our money, our resources? Like, instead of looking out there, because I'm an Aquarius sun, so like I'm seriously convinced that like we're all aliens anyway. So like, to me, there's not a such thing as aliens are out there. I think they're here. Most of them drive electric cars because electric cars sound like spaceships. Anywho, but if we think about that, if we think about like, are we the aliens? Because, you know, like, we're the foreigners to this land, not as in foreigners to the United States or foreigners to France or whatever. I am talking about we are the foreigners to planet Earth. We're the aliens. Okay, anyway, that's going completely off the rails, but it poses the question then, how are we being treated if we're the foreigners on this land? Are we welcome here? Or are we out of place and disrupting the flow of nature? Could we be better participating in the flow of nature and therefore the food supply? Because in the winter time, prior to, advances in, transport and food preservation, in the winter time, they had whatever they could hunt and root vegetables. So they didn't have fresh melon in the middle of January, which I think fresh melon in the middle of January tastes gross. Anywho, get what I'm saying? So as far as so I think that's like the general picture of the next 18 months. I think there's going to be a split in humanity and like anything we've ever seen, because some people are going to go for the technological hybrid human AI generated blah 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 blah. That's fine. There are advantages to that. There's advantages to technology I'm certainly not opposed to, but I think there's also the group that's going to completely split from that and be more interconnected with each other in small groups. Maybe not necessarily living in a commune or a community, but certainly getting less and less online, and digitally disconnecting, so that they can in person connect. And I don't think there's a right or wrong to either of those. I think that you go too extreme one direction or the other, and you're sure to have, some sort of issue, right? You go completely analog and disconnect, and you don't get support when you need support. You go completely online and you don't know anybody in your neighborhood. You don't know your neighbors if you need to bug out. You don't know, who you can call in a situation. So there's those things. But as far as what you can be doing to really work this energy for yourself, first of all, that's going to depend on your birth chart, your rising sign, where Leo and Aquarius are for you. And will you release your old like habits that are keeping you from tuning into opening your heart, opening your solar plexus? Remember that Aquarius is like the circulatory, like electrical activity of the cardiovascular system, where Leo is the heart and the heart itself. Leo is the heart and the solar plexus chakra. It's what are you doing to move energy through, as well as blood flow and the flow and all of that. So in the medical aspect of things, this could mean like, what are you doing to generate your heart chakra, open your heart? Are you willing to acknowledge where your faults are and address them? Are you willing to chuck that crappy attitude and develop an attitude of gratitude? Not to sound cliche, but literally. Um, we're all here to be unique people. And I know that that's getting to be a very worn out statement. Even saying authentic is getting a little worn out at this point. But I think there's something to be said for the fact that a lot of people out there, at least people I've been talking to recently, don't like themselves. And I feel like there's work there for each and every person to get to know themselves, find out about what about yourself do you like about yourself? You're your own best friend at the end of the day. And you're the one who has to sleep in that skin at the end of the day. And if you don't like who you are, number one, find things, find some like foundational things about yourself that you do like and grow from there to become or tune in or tap in to the parts of yourself that you do like. Leo is playful. Leo is fun. Aquarius is weird, but Aquarius is fun. Aquarius likes friendship. Aquarius is loyal. Leo is loyal. Like there's some loyalty here, and it starts with being loyal to yourself. So if you are talking shit about and to yourself, but you talk to your friends like they're the greatest thing in the world, you need to look at that a little bit. But don't get so delusional that you're this great grandiose person without looking at yourself and being like, oh yeah, I need to be a better person here, be a better person there, right? So I kind of feel like there's two sort of buckets here. There's the group of people who don't like themselves. There's the group of people who like themselves almost to a fault that they can't see their flaws. There's people who don't like their dark side, Scorpio. um, and Aquarius is here for all of it. Leo is here for all of it. Like we like the dark and light of you, because it's okay to be kinky and funny and dark humor, and it's okay to say the crazy weird thing, right? Sometimes it's in the wrong moment. That would be me. But I don't know, there's just something here to me about people learning to like themselves and doing for themselves, being for themselves the way that they are for other people. And then there's the group of being so delusional that they're a good person that they don't even want to see the shit that's making them a bad person, or like the reason that people are walking away from them. So anyway, okay, so new moon, solar eclipse, August 12th. I am about to publish a newsletter after I film this and upload it. And the thing that I stated in the newsletter was Leo is kind of that energy where you can fake it till you make it. So it's kind of an opportunity, and I invite you and challenge you to follow a couple of journal prompts between August 12th and September 12th, because we're faking it until we make it. And after 30 days, you might actually shift your beliefs. Okay. So journal prompts. I don't think I'm going to put them in the description, so you might want to write them down. So pause the video, go get your pen and paper, open up your notes app, open up your voice note app, whatever you need. Here we go. I am thankful for. I am thankful for. I liked myself today because fill in the blank. I liked myself today because. And you don't have to stop at one on either of those. You can be thankful for 10 things. You can like yourself for 10 things. Okay. My body was able to do fill in the blank better than it was yesterday. So maybe this is you were able to do a flight of stairs better today than you did yesterday. Maybe you were able to walk further today than you did yesterday, but my body was able to do blank better than it could yesterday. That could be anything. You were able, depending on your mobility limitations, right? And or maybe you were able to get a PR on your chest press or leg press or whatever. Okay. I nourished my physical, mental, and emotional well-being by, and then fill in the blank. And I invite you to think about what you ate, drank, um, smoked, if that's the case. Did you mentally consume something of like education or learning, as in reading nonfiction? And or did you learn something from a fiction book you read or radio show you listened to? Or what did you get out of a podcast today that nurtured your mental? And then emotionally, did you feel your feelings today? Did you cry or did something upset you and you took the time to process the emotions? Okay. By the way, if you haven't made the connection, this is why I wrote a book about this shit. Okay, so that's the journaling prompts. I invite you to take them on. You can take them on from the moment you see this video or August 12th through September 12th. Come back and let me know. There was something that I mentioned in a video a few weeks ago, and I was supposed to follow up about it, and I can't remember if I did or not. So if you've watched both my videos or all of my last videos, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, it's okay. I'm just saying with this axis, this Leo Aquarius axis, and the cradle configuration that we have going on with the outer planets, meaning Saturn, or sorry, Neptune, Uranus, Jupiter, and Pluto, that will come together again next year, but include a different set, a different character in Leo. You've never had, and you never will again for the rest of your life. You're never going to have this opportunity to make a change. And no, we don't feel the full effects of the outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. We don't feel those. They're not like Mars, Mercury, and the sun and the moon. We don't feel them on the regular. What I'm saying is that long-term change can happen for you, but you're going to have to choose it. You're going to have to choose it. You're going to have to want it, and you're going to have to actually do the thing to make it happen. You don't get to tell me that astrology or personal development work is bullshit if you're not willing to do the actual work. So there's that. Okay, let's get into the chart for this new moon, solar eclipse in Leo. I'm not so good at remembering where these things are visible unless they're in my neighborhood, but I'm pretty sure this one's visible in parts of Europe, and specifically Spain. And so if you're kind of aware of what's going on in Spain, it's getting a little crazy over there. Anyway, so let me pull up the chart and we'll get into it. All righty. Screen reader wants to talk when I don't need it to talk. All right. So new moon, solar eclipse, August 12th. And it's going to peak at, ooh, hold on. My iPad's not happy. 12:36. Yep, 12:36 p.m. Central Time. So adjust for your time zone. Let me see if I can get my image here a little bit better. My iPad updated recently and I swear I don't know how to work it anymore. It changed. Like, here we go, markup. That's what we want. Okay. Um, so we of course have, where are we? The moon conjunct the sun up here in Leo. Um, and actually we don't really need that marked, do we? But this is at 20 degrees of Leo. Let me just zoom in on it. There we go. That's better. You see the south node, which is the upside down headphones looking icon. The MC is the midheaven of the chart. And then you have Jupiter at 9 degrees of Leo and Mercury at 5 degrees of Leo. So, uh, I mean, solar eclipses are the eclipse, right? It's the moon blocking the sun. So it's eclipsing or what was the word I was just gonna say? It X's out the unnecessary things, right? It eclipses it. That was weird, considering I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. Um, okay. Anyway, sorry, totally distracted. Um, it eclipses, it X's out things that are not necessary. So again, it's that crappy attitude because Leo is playful. It's your inner child. It's it's the love sign, right? It's romantic, it's fun, it's, yes, it wants to be center stage, but it also is like I said, heart and solar plexus. So it's your personal authority, it's your heart, it's opening up your heart to, fake it till you make it, right? Leos are kind of the best at faking it till they make it, right? They're going to be the ones to try things before anybody else is brave enough to or has the courage to. However, what I'm going to say is because we also have Mercury now well out of his post retrograde shadow, we've got Jupiter in Leo. This is kind of like you have this opportunity to kind of like say the thing, speaking your truth. It's opposing Aquarius. It's not opposing anything in Aquarius, although Mercury did just come out of an opposition to Pluto. So it's kind of like this opportunity to kind of embrace yourself at a different level, right? See yourself, see your dark side, see your sexy self, your sexy energy, your beauty, Venus is in Libra, seeing yourself in a different way. Um, in fact, yeah, um, Mercury is at 5, Venus is at 5. Yeah, there's a sextile between, oh, that's interesting. There's like a minor grand trine between, because, well, let me do this. Okay. So Venus and Mars are breaking apart from a square, but then Mercury is sextiling Venus. So there is kind of that like, and Venus is in Libra, not quite in her pre-retrograde shadow yet. So Venus is in a good spot. And Mars is in his unhappy place. He's in Cancer, at 0 degrees. They're coming apart from their square. But so there's kind of this delicate balance between the masculine and feminine. And then Mercury is kind of the unisex. Uh, he has no gender, basically. Or has no masculine and feminine. He's both. Um, but what I'm saying here is like there is something about this where Mars is in Cancer, Venus is in her home sign, Mercury's in Leo, this new moon eclipse is in Leo. There is this opportunity to like change your language, right? And be attentive to how you speak, particularly in the heat of the moment, because we do have um there's kind of a trine between the new moon and Saturn. It's about 6 degrees apart, but it's there, and the moon will have trined Saturn on its way to the eclipse. So there is kind of, and Saturn's in Aries, Neptune's in Aries. There's kind of this like, if we look at that, there is a lot about what I'm pointing out here is the fact that we have Saturn and Neptune here in Aries. Aries is the self. It's the I am. So these two planets and then anything that passes through these two planets is kind of having you look at yourself. You can look where Aries is at in your birth chart. But even still, just knowing that those two planets, Saturn and Neptune, Saturn and Aries is like, do you have the responsibility to yourself? Do you have the discipline for yourself? And the right? Neptune is like um kind of the warrior, like kind of asking you to be a little be a little creative, be a little flowy with yourself. So there's like kind of a conflict, but it's kind of like it's kind of like and of course we have this ongoing sextile between Uranus and Neptune, and then the trine from Saturn to the new moon eclipse. I mean, it's a wide trine, but again, the moon's going to trine Saturn as it heads to the eclipse, like hours before it. So it's present, it's there. There's just this gosh, there's this like, stop hiding yourself from yourself, right? The reason that you're scared of putting yourself out there in any sort of way, whether it's getting to know your neighbors, whether it's your creativity projects that you don't want to share, whether it is you're hiding your insecurities, it's because there are parts of yourself that you can't face. I kind of wish this chart had Black Moon Lilith, but I don't have Black Moon Lilith on this app. But remember that Mars is in Cancer. It's like nurturing. There's just something about like the dark side of you. You are so afraid of showing who you are because of every hurtful thing that's happened, or like you're afraid of it not going your way, or like there's just something about like your heart chakra begging, your solar plexus is begging you to open up and reveal yourself and be the star of your show. Because again, all of this goes back to Saturn and Aries. Um, and this eclipse is really going to kind of like probably, especially if you have planets or points at 20 Leo or 20 Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, it's gonna take something out, like even if it's that mindset, right? Um, it's also going to probably bring something to your awareness leading up to it, whether it's your own insecurities, your own subconscious beliefs about yourself, your own, issues with money, your issues with being playful or being cute or being fun, because you feel like you're an adult and you're not supposed to have fun. Go read The Artist's Way, and go on an artist date. Those are my favorite things about doing The Artist's Way, was doing the artist dates. When I took my artist self out on a date and I went to different art play. Of course, I lived in Chicago at the time. That was helpful. But um, but yeah, like there's just, and this Mercury, Uranus. Ooh, they're sextiling too. Excuse me. So yeah, I feel like this Mercury kind of plays a big role here with this eclipse because of where he's at 5 degrees of Leo. And yeah, he's gonna oppose Pluto. That's probably where a lot of this darkness, like this Pluto in Aquarius is kind of like humanity can't hide its darkness anymore. And And yes, that can mean like the darkness in our, geopolitical theatrical leadership. Sure, sure. However, let's bring it down to you. You can't hide your shadow side, your kinky side, your playful side, your fun at intimacy side, whatever that looks like for you, because intimacy does not have to be sexual, neither does kinky, right? You can be a freak on a leash in your writing, you can be a freak on a leash in your business, in your, whatever, right? And be who you are. But I just am feeling like there's so many people that are afraid of liking themselves because they're so attached to beating themselves up. Um, self-deprecation. They're so attached to their victim story from their childhood. They're so attached to the problems that they can't accept that they've outgrown the problems. And I think this is surfacing because, like, with Chiron now in Taurus, like my generation, my particular age group of people is about to have their Chiron return. So like if you were born in 79, actually probably a little bit 78 through like, I don't know, 83, 78 to 83, maybe 84. I don't remember the dates. You're in your Chiron return. And it's like, we have to face ourselves. We are the grown-ups now. But you can't fully be a grown-up if you're too afraid of your parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, your cousins, your whatever, right? I've said it before and I'll say it again. My family does not understand the work that I do. They don't get it. Will they buy my book? Probably. Will they read my book? Not likely. Will they understand my book? No, they're actually probably going to think I'm even weirder than they ever thought I was. That's okay. I'm good with that, right? Um, it's the same thing for like the literature that I choose to read or the shows I choose to watch. Like, I honestly am so just grateful for who I am and that I'm here to tell who I am and share myself, that it doesn't matter. And it doesn't stop me. So it's you're connecting the heart to the solar plexus, and Saturn is there as kind of this reminder of like, who do you give yourself the authority to be? And by all means, be dark, be freaky, be fun, be all of the things, right? Okay. So by all means, enjoy this new moon in Leo. I like it a lot. The only thing I don't particularly like about the chart is Mars in Cancer. We had Mars in Cancer extensively. Was that in 2025? 24 to 25? Was that when we had Mars retrograde? I think it was, because it was before Jupiter came into Cancer. So it had to have been 24 to 25. We had that huge Mars retrograde in Cancer that was super icky and super uncomfortable. Um, and so Mars in Cancer, he doesn't like it there. He's kind of just like trying not to drown. If you've ever been a swimmer or you've taken swimming lessons and you have to like hold a brick and tread water, and you're like, you know, praying that you don't drown. Like, you're holding the brick and you're treading with the brick. Like, I had to do that for lifeguard training back in the day. I don't think I could fucking do it now, but maybe I could. I'd surprise myself. That's Mars and Cancer. He's literally trying to keep his head above water. He doesn't like it there. It's too emotional for him. But he can get a bit nostalgic, and there has been a lot of like 90s, 80s, 90s kids nostalgic stuff lately floating around the internet. One of my favorite guys just did like, if Little House on the Prairie characters were on social media. I thought that was fucking hilarious. Because it said something like Albert would tell you all about how he saved Sylvia and how he what was the other, but he would completely ignore that he set fire to the building and it killed two people, and he would completely ignore his messed up relationship with Doc Baker. So like, I don't know. I thought it was funny. All right, let's see what the tarot cards have. I really hope that you can learn to love yourself and see yourself in the way that others see you, and to really chuck your shitty attitude about yourself, or chuck the crappy, yeah, okay, you were raised, you didn't have the greatest parents. Especially if you grew up in the 80s, like we did not have the best childhoods, but most of us did not also have the worst childhoods. And it's kind of time that we get past that shit. Whether that means therapy, whether that means coaching, whether that means you hire an astrologer to look at your chart and be like, hey, you know? So again, if you, like I said, 78, late 78, probably through 83, 84, if you're in that generation, we're about to have our Chiron return. I've seen some people go through their Chiron returns. They're not fun. They're so not fun, but that's okay. We're all gonna make it through it. Oh, okay. Let's see what we got in the tarot for this new moon in Leo. No, solar eclipse, I should say. Oops. Oh no. How did we get cards flipped? Hold on. That's not good. All right. Let's do one more shuffle just to make sure. I always pre-shuffle them before I come online, come on and record. And I do have the Woodland Wardens. That would kind of be the other thing I would say is like Venus is in an air sign, Mercury's in fire, Mars is in water. There's no earth. All of the outer planets and every other planet are in fire and water, water, and air signs. Speaking of analog things, again, if you want me to do a video about this, I can, but like I've started doing an offline to-do list, and it's going better than I thought that it would. Am I perfect at it? No. Hell no. Fucking Saturn, North Node, and Virgo. I'm not perfect at anything routine because I resist it. Okay, what is this? The Eight of Wands upright. Where is the dude? Eight of Wands upright. Am I gonna have to look up my thing for the thing? Hold on. Judge me if you need to, but yes, I'm looking up what the card means. I don't really care. I am not good at reading tarot, but I know people appreciate it. Oh shit, I might have passed it already. Okay. Nine of Wands, Eight of Wands upright, key words. This is from a workbook I got from a class that I took. Um, Swift movement, carrying a message, um, help from um stupid thing. Hold on. to undo that. Undo. There we go. Okay, so just going off of that, what little bit I was able to read before the markup got turned on. Close that, close that. Okay. I would say this is the Eight of Wands upright. I would say this is like maybe you're looking in the wrong direction for support when it's right in front of your face. And it's going to be like like eclipses are surprising, right? And Uranus is in Gemini. It could be a surprise right in your own neighborhood. Um, and so maybe you don't have to look as far as you think you need to look to get the support that you need. I really feel like there's also because now Chiron's in Taurus, which is a feminine sign, versus Chiron when Aries was masculine. And yeah, there's a lot of masculine in the chart right now, but uh, I feel like there's because we've kind of had an ongoing square between Mars and Venus. There's Venus is in a masculine sign, Mars is in a feminine sign. Yeah, it's like a rebalance because their square started when they were in Gemini and Virgo, which Gemini is masculine, Virgo's feminine. Now Mars is in Cancer, feminine, Venus is in Libra, masculine. There's almost like this pendulum of like how we're balancing masculine and feminine energy. And I'm not talking about men versus women here. I'm talking about masculine and feminine because we all have masculine and feminine within our one body. And so there's kind of this rebalancing happening with that energy, right? So we got the four of cups in reverse is literally the same thing as the Eight of Wands. Like you're focused on one thing when the thing that you need is like right in front of you. You're putting your focus on something that's so far out. It's kind of like what I was saying about the Aquarius and the extraterrestrials, right? Like we're looking at extraterrestrials like it's something out there versus looking at, are we the extraterrestrials? Are we the aliens to this Earth, to this planet? Like that's exactly what I'm saying. But like put that in your own life perspective. You're looking so outside yourself for validation. You're looking outside yourself for confirmation. You're looking outside yourself for whatever the thing is, when the reality is it's within you. And it's all about the gratitude you have for the physical body that you're in. It's the gratitude that you have for the day, the abundance, the food, the cell phone, the computer, I don't know, audiobook, the yarn that you get to crochet with, the cord that you get to macrame with, the paint, I don't know, like you get to do so many things in this life, and like we live in such a luxurious time and place. Even if you don't feel luxurious, if you think about like, I was saying like the 19th century folks, like, what did they do in the winter? They didn't have what we have, right? They didn't have on demand, that kind of thing. So all right, got the woodland wardens, but I think that's kind of the thing is you're looking outside yourself for happiness. You're looking outside yourself for how to like yourself. You're looking for other people to like you. You're looking for this, that, and the other. But if you don't like you, they ain't gonna like you. They're gonna superficially like you, but not like Aquarius can like you. Um, all right, let's see. Looks like we got the snake and fern. And the term on here is starting over. Well, we just had the year of the snake last year in Chinese astrology, and this year we're in the year of the horse. And yeah, you're starting over. Like you get to like, what if you got to restart your life right now with what you know? With what you know? Would you stand up for yourself more as a teen, as a kid, as a young 20 something? Would you stand up for yourself more? Would you have followed a different path? If you got to start your life over, let's just say, I'm not going to say from childhood because everyone's childhood, like wounding is different, right? For some people, it was when they were 4, some people when they were 9, some people when they were 17. I don't know. It depends on you, right? So, but like, what if you got to start your life over with what you know now, and you got to go back to that moment that your core wounding began? Would you do things differently? I maybe would. I maybe would. I don't know. I don't know. I maybe would because like knowing astrology has helped me with my emotional, like I feel like right now, if I didn't know astrology and personal development, I would be completely derailed and lost in my depression, and I'm not. Okay, let's get one more on this, but think about the snake and the fern. Um, because the fern, isn't it kind of like one of those like you can shape it type of things? And then we also got the skunk and the magnolia, which is protection. Yeah, because skunks let off the funkiest way of protection. I don't know how magnolias protect themselves, but I mean, yeah, but skunks do know how to protect their space, and we all get the effect of that. What if you protected your space like a skunk protected his space? I mean, I don't know, go, you can eat the right things to let off the right fart. I don't know. But anyway, all right. I hope that was helpful. If you are interested in a chart reading, links are below for that. If you're interested in astro coaching and really working with me with your birth chart and transiting astrology so that you can understand when these patterns surface and appear for you, let me know if that interests you. Links are all below to how to do all that. Also, the sign up link for my newsletter if you want to do that. Otherwise, I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.